The sky vault groaned like a dying beast. Captain Elias Mercer felt it the moment his boots hit the broken landing platform. Metal plates floated half loose above him, held only by failing gravity stabilizers. Red warning lights flickered in slow, fading pulses. The entire structure was drifting above a dead planet, forgotten by time and rescue law. His mission was simple: salvage power cores and leave before collapse. But nothing about this place felt simple. A sharp crack echoed through the corridor behind him. A support beam snapped and drifted upward like it had forgotten which way was down. Elias steadied himself, tightening his grip on his cutter tool. His suit sensors showed life support at 40% capacity in this section. He should have turned back already. Then he heard it. A sound so soft it almost didn't belong in a broken station. A cry. Elias froze. It was not an alarm. Not metal stress. Not a machine error. It was alive. Small. Weak. And filled with pain. He turned his helmet slowly. Scanner, confirm sound source. The AI responded instantly. No biological signal detected. Only structural resonance. That's not true, Elias muttered. The cry came again. This time it carried emotion. Fear. Loneliness. Something that pulled at him in a way he didn't understand. Against all protocol, Elias moved deeper into the vault. The corridor narrowed, walls bent by pressure shifts. Frost-covered broken panels. Every step made his suit echo against the dead silence. Then his light caught something. Chains. Thick alloy restraints bolted into the floor of a containment chamber. And inside it, a creature. Small. Dragon-like. But wrong in ways no Earth legend had ever prepared him for. Its wings were underdeveloped, folded like torn fabric. Its body was covered in faint, glowing fractures across the scales. And its eyes, they were sealed shut as if never meant to open. A blind dragon hatchling. It trembled violently when Elias stepped closer. But it didn't run. It couldn't. Elias felt something tighten in his chest. What are you? The hatchling let out another cry. Softer now. Not just fear. It was begging. A sudden alarm burst through Elias's calm. Warning, core structural failure imminent. Evacuate immediately. The vault shuddered. Above them, a massive support ring tore loose, drifting downward in slow motion. Elias looked up, then back at the creature. He had maybe seconds before everything collapsed. His mission flashed in his mind. Salvage, no engagement, no interference. Leave anything unknown behind. That was protocol. The dragon hatchling let out a weak, broken sound again. This time it didn't feel like noise. It felt like reaching out. Elias stepped forward. Hey, I don't know what you are, he said quietly, voice steady despite the shaking station, but you're not staying here. He activated his cutter and aimed at the restraints. The moment the tool touched the metal, the hatchling flinched hard. Its body twisted, trying to pull away even though it had nowhere to go. I'm not here to hurt you, Elias said, voice softer now. The cutting beam burned through the first lock. Sparks filled the chamber. And then something impossible happened. The hatchling stopped struggling. It tilted its head slightly as if listening to his voice. Elias hesitated. The second restraint snapped open. The creature didn't attack. It reached out instead. Slowly. Blindly. Its small claw touched Elias's glove. The contact was instant. A sharp pulse exploded through his suit systems. Every broken console in the vault flickered at once. Lights that had been dead for decades suddenly flashed in perfect sync. Elias stumbled back. What the? His HUD filled with unreadable energy patterns. The hatchling let out a sound, not fear this time. Recognition. Then the entire sky vault screamed. Deep inside the structure, dormant systems that should have been offline for centuries suddenly activated. Power grids surged. Locked doors unlocked themselves. And far above, something massive shifted in the darkness of the station. Elias stared at the creature now clinging to his hand. And for the first time since entering the vault, he felt real danger. Not from collapse, but from something that had just awakened because of a blind dragon's touch. Behind them, deep in the station's forgotten core, a single ancient system came online. And it was searching for them. The station didn't stop screaming. Even after Elias Mercer pulled the blind dragon hatchling away from the shattered chamber, the entire sky vault kept changing. Lights that should have been dead flickered in unstable patterns. Broken corridors hissed as sealed doors unlocked themselves one by one, as if something inside the station had suddenly remembered how to wake up. Elias moved fast through the drifting hallway, one arm holding the small creature against his chest. It was lighter than he expected, but warm, unnaturally warm like it was holding on to heat that didn't belong in a dying structure. Behind his visor, his eyes kept scanning warnings. Structural failure increasing. Unknown energy surge detected. System-wide reboot in progress. This makes no sense, Elias muttered. You're just a hatchling. The dragon gave a weak sound in response. Not a cry now. More like discomfort. It pressed closer to him as if his presence was the only stable thing left in the world. A sudden jolt threw them sideways. A corridor section detached and floated away, spinning into darkness. Elias grabbed a railing before both of them drifted into open void. The station's gravity grid flickered hard, forcing his boots to relock with a violent magnetic snap. Okay, he breathed. We need out. Now. He tapped his comm Mercer to salvage crew. I'm coming back with an unknown biological. Repeat, unknown biological. I need immediate extraction. Static answered him. Then a voice finally broke through. Elias, are you serious right now? It was Commander Hale, sharp and angry. You brought a living specimen from a class-dead vault? I didn't have a choice, Elias said, glancing down at the hatchling. It was chained. Abandoned. And the place just woke up when I touched it. There was silence for half a second too long. Then Hale responded, slower. Get back to docking Bay Delta. We're securing the ship. And Elias, if that thing destabilizes our systems, we eject it into space. Elias didn't answer. The hatchling made a soft sound, almost like it understood the threat. They moved. The corridor toward the docking bay was worse. The station was no longer just collapsing. It was reorganizing. Panels shifted positions on their own. Cables floated upward like vines searching for something. Broken screens lit up with symbols Elias had never seen before. And through it all, the dragon's presence seemed to change the environment. Every time it trembled, nearby systems flickered harder. Every time it calmed, the station stabilized for a few seconds. Elias noticed it immediately. You're doing this, he said quietly. The hatchling didn't respond. But it pressed its head lightly against his suit as if exhausted. A new alarm hit his HUD. External signal detected. Elias stopped mid-step. Source? He demanded. The AI hesitated. Signal origin, deep space vector. Strength increasing. Pattern matches, unknown structured response. That's not helpful. The station shuddered again, harder this time. And then it happened. The hatchling reacted. It let out a sudden sharp sound, not pain but alertness. Its body stiffened in Elias's arms, and for the first time, its faint internal glow flared brighter under its scales. Every light in the corridor turned red. The ship's comm system overloaded. And far beyond the vault, something answered. Elias felt it more than saw it. A pressure in space. A shift in the silence beyond the station. Like something massive had just turned its attention toward them. Commander Hale, Elias said quickly, we are not alone out here anymore. Hale's voice crackled back. What do you mean not alone? Before Elias could answer, the docking bay doors ahead of him began to open on their own. Not manually. Not remotely. But as if the station itself was granting passage. Elias slowed. That was wrong. AI, he said sharply, did you open Bay Delta? No command issued, the system replied. The doors fully separated. Inside, the salvage ship waited, lights flickering as crew members rushed to secure systems. Commander Hale stood near the loading ramp, weapon already drawn, face tight with suspicion. The moment Hale saw Elias carrying the creature, his expression hardened. What is that? Hale demanded. Elias stepped onto the bay floor. It's alive. And it was trapped inside the vault. We don't take unknown life forms, Hale said coldly. You know protocol. I know, Elias replied. But protocol doesn't explain why a dead station just rebooted because it touched me. A crew member shouted from the control panel. Commander. External energy readings are spiking again. Hale didn't look away from Elias. Last warning. Put it in containment or eject it. The hatchling suddenly shifted in Elias's arms. Not violently, but aware. It sensed the hostility. And then, without warning, the ship's systems flickered again. All at once. Lights dimmed. Then surged. Then stabilized in unnatural synchronization. The crew froze. A technician whispered, "That's impossible, it's sinking with the ship." The hatchling let out a low sound. And the entire salvage vessel went silent. Elias felt it too now. The pattern wasn't random. It wasn't chaos. It was response. The dragon wasn't attacking. It was reacting to emotion. To intent. To fear, And protection. Hale raised his weapon slightly. Elias, step away from it. Elias looked down at the hatchling. Its blind face tilted toward him, trusting without understanding anything else in the room. He made a decision. Slow and firm. No. The single word changed everything. The ship's system spiked again, but this time instead of chaos, something new appeared on the main display. A signal. Not from outside, but from the creature itself. A structured transmission pulse, aimed deep into space. And the moment it activated, every sensor aboard the ship detected one thing arriving from the darkness beyond their system. Something massive. Something responding. Commander Hale's voice dropped to a whisper. What did you bring on my ship, Elias? And far out in the void, an unknown presence began to move toward them, slow, deliberate, and unmistakably awake. The salvage ship drifted in silence. Every system that had flickered moments ago now held steady, but not naturally. It felt controlled, like something unseen had pressed a hand over the ship and forced it to behave. Elias Mercer stood in the center of the loading bay, still holding the blind dragon hatchling. The creature was calmer now, but its body was no longer just warm. It was glowing faintly beneath the scales as if something inside it had been unlocked. Commander Hale didn't lower his weapon. Neither did the crew. Elias, Hale said slowly, voice tight with disbelief, tell me you did not just turn my ship into a beacon. Elias didn't answer immediately. His eyes stayed locked on the main display behind Hale. The screen showed a single line of data repeating over and over. External response confirmed. Signal match. Unknown core entity. It wasn't me, Elias said finally. It's reacting to him. The hatchling let out a soft sound at his words, as if recognizing its own mention. A technician at the console shouted, Commander, we're getting spatial distortion readings outside the hull. Something is entering the system boundary. Hale turned sharply. Identify it. The technician shook his head. No known classification. It's not a ship, not a natural object either. It's like a structured mass of energy and matter combined. Silence dropped across the bay. Then the ship's external cameras flickered online by themselves. The main screen shifted. Space outside the vessel was no longer empty. A shape was forming in the darkness, slowly, deliberately, like reality itself was assembling it piece by piece. Elias felt the hatchling tense instantly in his arms. For the first time, it made a sound that wasn't soft or weak. It was sharp. Alert. Hale stepped closer to Elias, lowering his weapon slightly but not fully. Whatever that thing is, it's coming for us. Elias swallowed. Not for us. He looked down at the hatchling. For him. The creature responded by pressing its head harder against Elias's chest. The glow under its scales pulsed once, twice, syncing with something far away. On the screen the object finally stabilized. It wasn't a ship. It was far larger. A vast structure suspended in space, shaped like a broken ring wrapped in layers of shifting light. Its surface moved like it was alive but not organic. More like memory given form. And then it spoke. Not through sound, but through every system on board at once. Unknown entity detected. Warden signal received. The crew froze. Hale whispered, Warden? Elias's mind raced. It's not a creature. It's a system. Or a civilization. Something built. The hatchling suddenly reacted again, stronger this time. Its glow intensified and the ship's lights dimmed in response. The structure outside responded immediately. A second transmission hit. Warden seat confirmed. Protocol engaged. Recovery initiation. Elias felt his stomach drop. Recovery? That doesn't sound like rescue. The ship shook slightly though nothing physically touched it. A crew member screamed, Commander, our engines are locking. We're being pulled. Hale snapped, break the connection. We can't, the technician shouted. It's not external towing, it's rewriting our control systems. Elias tightened his grip on the hatchling. It's not attacking us, he said quickly. It's syncing with him. The signal from the vault triggered it. Hale turned back to him, eyes hard. Then stop it. Elias hesitated. For the first time since finding the creature, he understood something terrifying. It wasn't just reacting. It was being recognized. And something ancient had just confirmed it still existed. The hatchling made a weak sound again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was confusion. As if it didn't understand what it had become. Elias lowered his voice. Hey, listen to me. The creature tilted its blind face toward him. I don't know what they are, Elias said carefully, but I know what they think you are. And I don't think you were ever meant to be alone. The hatchling stopped trembling. For a brief moment, the ship stabilized again. Then everything changed. The massive structure outside moved closer, not fast but inevitable. Space itself bent around it, folding gently as if reality was making room. And then a new image appeared on the ship's screen. Not data. Not signals. A memory. Elias saw it as clearly as if it were happening in front of him. A vast civilization of dragon-like beings spanning across star systems. Not wild creatures, but engineered navigators, living cores of interstellar pathways, guiding entire fleets through dimensions of folded space. Then the image shifted. A chamber. Thousands of eggs suspended in energy fields. And one of them, marked differently. Incomplete. Blind. Unfinished. The hatchling. Elias stepped back instinctively. It's not random, he whispered. They made him. Hale frowned. Made. The vision continued. The civilization was gone. Not destroyed violently, but erased deliberately. Systems shutting down. Ships vanishing. Entire networks sealing themselves away. And at the center of it all, a final command echoed through the memory. If the Warden seed activates without guidance, all recovery units must converge. The vision ended. Silence returned to the ship. Elias stared at the hatchling. You're not just a survivor, he said softly. You're a trigger. The creature gave a faint sound, almost like it was afraid of the truth it didn't understand. Outside, the massive structure stopped its approach. For a moment, everything went still. Then the ship's systems lit up again. A final transmission arrived. Warden seed recognized. Initiating full convergence. Hale's voice dropped. Elias, what does that mean? Elias didn't answer immediately. Because deep inside he already knew. Whatever was coming wasn't just coming to retrieve the hatchling. It was coming to wake everything connected to it. And the first step had already begun. The salvage ship trembled again. Not from impact. Not from weapons. But from something far larger pressing against reality itself. Commander Hale stood frozen near the control console, watching the external feed. The massive structure outside had not moved closer in a traditional sense. Instead, space around it was bending, folding inward like fabric being pulled through a narrow point. Elias Mercer held the blind dragon hatchling tighter against his chest. The creature was no longer calm. Its glow pulsed in uneven bursts, reacting to something beyond sight. Crew members shouted over failing systems. Navigation locked. Engines unresponsive. External pressure increasing. Hale turned sharply. Elias, whatever connection you formed with that thing, end it now. Elias didn't look away from the hatchling. It's not a switch I can turn off. The ship lurched. Lights flickered once, then stabilized into an unnatural rhythm. Perfect timing across every corridor, every console, every broken system suddenly acting as one. The hatchling let out a sound that made Elias's skin tighten. Not pain. Recognition. On the main screen, the massive structure outside began to unfold further. Layers of energy peeled back like petals revealing something buried inside. A deeper core emerged, smaller than the outer ring but far more complex, shaped like an ancient engine made of light and memory. Then the voice returned. Not sound. Not signal. Presence. Warden seat confirmed. Recovery priority, absolute. The ship shook harder. A crew member screamed, "It's locking onto us. We're being absorbed into its field." Hale stepped back. We are not surviving this if it continues. Elias finally looked up. We might not survive if we resist either. That silence hit harder than the shaking. The hatchling shifted in his arms, weak but alert. It seemed to feel the conflict in the room, the fear, the aggression, the uncertainty. And then something unexpected happened. It stopped glowing erratically. It stabilized. A steady pulse. Like it had chosen a direction. The external structure reacted instantly. The field around the ship tightened, not crushing but aligning. Like the ship itself was being calibrated. Hale noticed it. It's sinking, not destroying. Elias's eyes widened slightly. It's trying to match us. A technician yelled, "Commander! The ship's systems are rewriting themselves." On the main display, code was changing without input. Entire sections of navigation software were being replaced by unknown architecture. Smooth, elegant, and ancient. Hale raised his weapon again, this time not at Elias but at the console. If this takes full control, we lose everything. We don't even know what it is. Elias stepped forward slightly. We already know what it is. Hale snapped, then explain it. Elias looked down at the hatchling. His voice lowered. It's not a weapon. It's not a parasite. It's a key. The hatchling made a faint sound at the word, as if it understood. Outside, the massive structure began its next phase. A beam of structured energy extended toward the ship, not destructive but precise. It connected with the hull like a thread stitching two realities together. The ship's power surged. Every broken system restored itself in seconds. But not as it was before. It changed. Navigation routes expanded beyond known space. Sensors began detecting star systems that did not exist in any human database. The ship was no longer just a vessel, it was becoming something else. Hale noticed immediately. It's upgrading us. Elias shook his head. Not upgrading. Integrating. A deep alarm sounded from the ship's core. Warning, external architecture override detected. Hale turned sharply. Elias, we are losing autonomy. Elias didn't respond right away. He was focused on the hatchling, which had gone strangely still. Then it spoke. Not in words, but in emotion. A wave of fear, confusion, and something deeper, recognition of responsibility. Elias felt it clearly as if it passed through him. It knows, he whispered. Hale frowned. Knows what? Elias looked up. That it's not just being recovered. It's being activated. The hatchling suddenly reacted. Its glow flared brightly, and the external structure responded instantly. A new transmission flooded the ship. Warden Seed, neural stability achieved. Initiating full system awakening. The ship went dark for half a second. Then every screen lit up at once. Not with data, but with pathways, routes, star maps that expanded endlessly in all directions, far beyond human exploration limits. Entire regions of space unfolded like a living network. And at the center of it all, the hatchling. Elias staggered slightly. It's not a creature, it's a navigation core. Hale's voice dropped. Hey, what? Elias's grip tightened. A living coordinate system. Something designed to guide travel through places we can't even understand. The hatchling trembled again, but not from fear this time. From overload. Too much activation. Too much awakening. Outside, the structure began to rotate slowly, aligning itself with the ship completely. Then came the shift. A second presence appeared in the void. Far away at first. Then closer still. A massive fleet signature. Not one structure. Many. Hale saw it first. Elias, we have incoming contacts. Multiple. No, dozens, hundreds. Elias didn't move. He already understood. Recovery units, he said quietly. The hatchling made one small sound. And every ship in the approaching fleet answered in perfect synchronization. The salvage crew stood frozen as the sky outside filled with impossible silhouettes, ancient vessels awakening from silent drift across space. Hale lowered his weapon slowly. This is not a rescue, he said quietly. Elias looked down at the blind dragon hatchling one more time. It never was. The ship stabilized for a single heartbeat. Then every system on board aligned with the incoming fleet. And the first wave of recovery vessels began to open their cores. Something ancient had fully awakened. And the human ship was now at the center of it. The salvage ship no longer felt like a ship. It felt like a node inside something vast. Captain Elias Mercer stood in the center of the bridge, holding the blind dragon hatchling close. The creature was no longer trembling. Its glow had stabilized into a steady, calm rhythm, like a heartbeat that no longer belonged to a single body, but to an entire network. Outside the viewport, space was full of silent giants. Recovery vessels. Ancient. Perfect. Patient. They surrounded the human ship without aggression, forming a wide orbit like a council waiting for a decision that had been delayed for centuries. Commander Hale stood near the console, weapon lowered now. Not because he trusted the situation, but because there was nothing left to aim at. Every system he tried to override simply rebalanced itself instantly, as if the ship had stopped obeying him long ago. It's over, Hale said quietly. We don't control anything anymore. Elias didn't look away from the hatchling. We never did. The creature shifted slightly in his arms, pressing closer to him. Its blind face tilted upward as if it could sense every direction at once now, not through sight, but through awareness beyond normal perception. A soft transmission filled the bridge. Not loud. Not aggressive. Just present. Warden Seed stabilized. Full network restoration complete. Hale exhaled slowly. Network, so it was always connected. Elias nodded slightly. It wasn't abandoned. It was paused. A technician whispered from the side panel, Paused for what? No one answered immediately, because outside something new began to happen. One of the recovery vessels moved. Not toward them, but around them. Then another followed. And another. They weren't circling in threat, they were forming structure. A pattern. A design that slowly expanded across space, linking ships together in a formation so large it began to distort perception itself. The hatchling reacted again. Not fear this time. Purpose. Its glow pulsed once, and the entire formation responded instantly, adjusting like a living organism responding to a single heartbeat. Elias felt it through his hands. Everything is connected to it, he said quietly. Every ship. Every system. It's all responding to this one life. Hale frowned. That doesn't make sense. It's just a hatchling. Elias finally looked up. No. It was never just that. The bridge lights dimmed slightly. Then stabilized. A new transmission appeared, not from outside but from the network itself. It bypassed all interfaces and displayed directly across every surface like memory being projected into reality. Warden cycle complete. Inheritor species required for continuation. The words lingered, then changed. Human species detected, compatible traits. Empathy, high adaptability, high protective instinct, unexpected but stable. Hale muttered, they're judging us. Elias shook his head slightly. Not judging. Testing results. The hatchling shifted again, but this time Elias felt something different through it. Not confusion. Not fear. Relief. As if something ancient had finally completed a process it had waited far too long to finish. Outside, the fleet began to reposition. Slowly. Not surrounding anymore. But opening. Creating a path forward. A corridor through space itself. Hale stepped closer to Elias. Where does that lead? Elias stared into the opening between the ships. I don't think it leads somewhere. He paused. I think it leads everywhere they've been waiting to return to. The hatchling let out a soft sound, almost like agreement. Then everything stopped for a single moment. The entire network went still. Even the drifting stars seemed to hold their position. And in that silence, a final transmission arrived. Warden Seed accepted human handler. Inheritance transfer initiated. Elias felt it immediately. A pressure, not physical but mental. Like something vast was gently touching the edge of his awareness, testing stability, confirming compatibility. He didn't resist. He didn't let go either. He simply stayed still. And the hatchling pressed closer to him. For a moment Elias saw it, not through screens or signals, but directly. A glimpse of what the network truly was. Not ships. Not machines. A living memory of an extinct civilization that had turned itself into structure, waiting for the right kind of intelligence to guide it again. And the hatchling was the missing key that never matured. Until now. Hale spoke softly. So what happens next? Elias looked down at the blind dragon one last time. Then toward the open corridor of stars forming outside. I think, he said quietly, we just became part of something we don't fully understand yet. The network responded instantly. Access granted. New path initiated. The human ships slowly began to move, not by engine power but by alignment with the surrounding fleet. Hale tightened his grip on the railing. Elias, where are they taking us? Elias didn't answer right away. Because ahead, beyond the opening corridor of ships, something vast began to stir in the distance. Far deeper in space than any known chart had ever reached. Something older than the recovery fleet. Something that had noticed the awakening. And this time it was not responding as a system. It was responding as something alive. The hatchling gave one final soft sound. Elias held it closer. And the fleet moved forward into the unknown.